Is it a crime to be right? Is there something inherently bad with wanting to be right? And furthermore, Sister Susan Lindsay, are you saying I'm not pleasant? Well, clearly you haven't heard. I am Elder Meacham. I am the Elder Meacham. So you cannot fail to be enchanted by me. Yeah, she didn't buy the act either. So, fine. What happened was, once again, I thought I'd learned my lesson. With Peggy Plant, no. Once again, I somehow tried to assert myself intellectually and or in the context of missionary priesthood authority over Sister Lindsay, but it was in the nature of, or it was in the context of something of an intellectual nature, and she trumped me in that conversation. She said that to me to my face. She didn't have the dignity to say it behind my back. She said that to my face. She said it in front of other people, in front of Lurch, my junior companion, who had a look on his face like, hey, dude, this woman, she just ate your lunch here. And are you going to speak up? Or are you just going to put your tail between your legs and walk out of the room, which is probably what I did. Susan Lindsay could be very direct. Susan Lindsay was self-evidently brilliant, and she knew it. And she had the language. Now, she'd only been on island, I don't know, less than I'd been on island, that was for sure. And she had the language down. I can't remember so much sounds and tones. I imagine they were perfect, but certainly her vernacular, the way she could communicate in Chinese, was impressive and better than I could. And she had a native companion, Su Baba. Sister Sue. Was Sister Sue her companion in Shirley? I'd have to check that. I think that is the case. And Sister Sue came into and out of my mission with delightful repetition. Su Baba, a sister missionary from Kaohsiung, whom Gary Jones and I went back and visited her and met her kids and her husband many, many years later. But I believe Susan Lindsay at that time was either companions with Su Baba, or Sister Sue had been Susan Lindsay's companion there before. In any case, Susan Lindsay could really speak the language, and Susan Lindsay was not going to be pushed around. But there was something much, much, much more terrible about Susan Lindsay than her willingness to insult me publicly around other people. And it was this. She was the sister version of all the elders who had girlfriends that were going to wait for them. Sister Lindsay had her boyfriend, I got introduced to this whole thing while we were doing the Christmas program, while I was still trying to salvage my priesthood leadership authority in the district here, even though the project had to be taken over by someone with better capabilities. Sister Susan Lindsay in the discussion, because we spent a lot of time in the apartment and we were speaking English, we weren't speaking out, because we were doing this craft thing that I'll tell you more about. But all this time, you get to know people more than I suppose you would otherwise in the mission field, certainly. We were just spending more time speaking English in the presence of these sisters than we otherwise would. And we learned that Sister Lindsay has someone who's going to wait for her. She is just as sure of that as any of the other obnoxious elders with their girlfriends, that they were certainly going to wait back home. And then they did, proving me wrong, which is simply not allowed, as we know. Sister Lindsay, and not only did she have a boyfriend who was going to wait for her, we come to learn, she tells us, that this boyfriend, I ask, how many dates have you been on with him? Oh, we haven't been on any dates. What? She hasn't been on any dates because he was one of her teachers in the MTC. What? Oh, no, I see now Corey thinks he sees the whole picture coming together here. Oh, yes. Sister Lindsay, don't fool yourself. These guys are cads. These guys are Lotharios who just play with the hearts of young sisters like you coming through the MTC thinking they might come home to be married to one of these godlike figures who stand up in front of the room and teach them Mandarin. No. I try, and it wasn't an argument because you didn't. It's so hard to remember. How did we interact as young people in such a strange environment? How did we discuss such things? Did we do it with a straight face? I guess we did. In any case, she tells me that it is none other than her teacher, Garrett Gong. Garrett Gong. She met him in the MTC. She's going to marry him. Well, I knew way better than that anything like that was ever going to take place. And so I did my best not to smirk at her self-assurance, which was, on top of her general self-confidence, which that's another thing that I just, sisters need to learn. Self-confidence in the Mormon Church, not allowed, all right? Some of these rules have just gone by the wayside, and I think it's my job to restore them, because I now see how badly damaged I was. I think it's Sister Lindsay's fault that I'm gay, actually. I'm going to, yes. You see, because this kind of challenging in this context, what else could it lead to? I'm kidding, but, of course, she came home and she married Garrett Gong. There's much more to the story, and there are prequels to this story. Why? Because Corey Meacham grew up in the shadow of the Gong family. That's right. Not just Garrett, not just Brian. Their father was... We were all in the Bay Area there. My family was in Los Altos. I think they were in Redwood City or Menlo Park or some other equally upscale place, where their father was an academic god. I was too young to pay attention to details, but everybody knew the name Gong, and they knew it because not only were these people upstanding members of the church, they were known in the community, the Gong family. And so to learn that in fact it was someone who had already shown me up in my young life. And yes, of course, they all went on missions. Garrett Gong was not there when I was on island. He was already home. Brian Gong was there. And I only crossed paths a few times, and it was only to nod to him in that obeisant way that I already knew how to do, because there he is. It's Brian Gong. He's one of the Gong family. And then there was their little sister, Marguerite. Marguerite, who was equally as impressive. I came home, flash forward, came home from my mission and had a Chinese class with Marguerite Gong, who is, again, poised, cultured, charming, and interesting, intelligent, accomplished. And I think at the time she was 18 years old. So the Gong family has haunted me my entire damn life. And I had a crush on Susan Lindsay. It's time for me to come clean on this, okay? Because I remember thinking, in my missionary context, okay, look, this sister is not taking anything, she doesn't take anything for granted. She insists that things make sense on many levels before she's going to be willing to go for them. And that's why poor little Elder Meacham got called out real early, because I was trying to pull some crap or something, and she saw through that. And so that attracted me. And briefly in the context, and of course these were the heady days of doing the Christmas program, of doing the creche there, and all of this is a happy memory, because it had almost nothing to do with being a missionary. And in the few weeks there with Sister Lindsay, I had what I'm going to call a spiritual crush on her. And then to have all that bounced back in my face, that no, Elder Meacham, I couldn't possibly be interested in you. Why? Because I've fallen for the big man on campus. That big man on campus being none other than Garrett Gong. And she sits there telling me that, in fact, she's so sure of this that she's going to come home and marry him. Do I sound bitter? Well, hell hath no fury like a repressed gay elder scorned. That's all I can say here.